Robinson, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about vaudeville. Vaudeville was performance and entertainment during like the 1880s and the 1930s in America. Vaudeville means light comedy in French. So, and it was a lot of comedians and jugglers. Vaudeville consisted mostly of magicians like Keller, Thurston, and Houdini, actors like Bob Hope, jugglers like W.C. Fields, comedians like George Burns, Gracie Allen. There was burlesque, there was monologists, there was musicians, there were ventriloquists. Hi! Who are those judges out there? Oh, those are people from National History Day, Eddie. Ah! Well, there was like comedy, there was people. We're going to put Eddie down there. And if I can actually have the judges stand up real quick, it'll be easier for you guys to see this. So, vaudeville started during the Industrial Revolution, or it was like during the Industrial Revolution. So towns wanted to bring people to the town, so they were building theater and theater and theater. Vaudeville started with one guy named Tony Pastor. He was a ringmaster of a circus, and he brought his live acts into theaters and started showing. People say that vaudeville started on October 24th,
I got it.
Alright, thank you. 1881. And because that was the day that Tony Pastor had the idea of clean entertainment that everybody could see. Then there was a guy named B.F. Keith. Keith moved back to his hometown, Boston, and he created like a zoo, or not a zoo, a museum. And the museum featured like a bunch of live acts. And the live acts, after a couple of months of that, he started building theater after theater after theater, and people called it like an empire of theaters in Boston. Tony Pastor was in New York, B.F. Keith was in Boston. Those are the two main places for vaudeville. Then, after Keith was getting really into vaudeville, he started making kind of like rules and guidelines. He had made up something called continuous vaudeville, which would sometimes make the performers go for 12 hours straight sometimes. They would be performing for 12 hours straight. And one of Keith's most famous theater is called the Bujoe Theater, and it's in Boston. And it looks like, where is it? It looks like that. As you can see, it says continuous vaudeville on the top. And you guys can sit back down if you would like. Now, the main reason vaudeville changed history is because of the performers. The performers in vaudeville were some of the best that had ever been seen. They were from all over, and their talent and showmanship really raised up theater, put it like up a whole notch. Because before vaudeville, there was performances in bars and nightclubs, and that wasn't always, you wouldn't bring your kid to like a bar or a nightclub necessarily. So vaudeville kind of made a place where they could go. And it also kind of made it, the performers changed the kind of styles of performance, like magic. They had ideas on how an actual magic show should look, or like a juggling show, and they put comedy in with juggling shows. And sometimes they even have like an amateur night where anybody could go up and perform. And so many of the performers in vaudeville were like the best performers that I've ever seen. See, but some were just terrible. Like this, at the start of vaudeville, there were some performers that would be dropping the ball like all the time and stuff like that. But the knowledge that the audiences had going in was that there would always be some. Well, audiences are smart. I've learned this because I performed down at Pearl Street, and I know that you're smart. You know if I mess up, you kind of know if I mess up. But the audiences, they had the knowledge going in that there would always be something that amazed them, or made them wonder, or that even made them laugh. Like Mr. Crandall. Yeah, and another thing that amazed me, that vaudeville was completely clean. By clean I mean there was no offensive, there was no vulgar language, there was no not so nice lip. references. Everything back then was politically correct. There was blackface, which today is very offensive, but back then African Americans weren't allowed into vaudeville. Actually, at the start of vaudeville, women weren't even allowed in. But as it grew on, more and more people were let in. And because like if someone sweared in vaudeville and like dropped a ball and they would start like I don't know swearing a lot, they would get kicked out of the theater. They wouldn't perform there again. Now, and there are shows like SNL today that are kind of showing what vaudeville looked. It's kind of what vaudeville was, like with the comedy. Now I'm going to show you guys two things. Well, a magic trick demonstration, and I'm going to play the guitar and tell you why vaudeville is a turning point. So let me move this right here. So this is a trick with 3 balls, and these 3 balls represent 3 things: the public, the theaters, and the performers. And I have 3 cups to help me with this. So there are public, theaters, and performers. Now, the people would go to see a vaudeville show. This wasn't, hey, it's Friday night, let's go see a show. This was, I'm done with my homework, I'm done with work, let's go relax, let's go see a vaudeville show. That's what vaudeville was. And they would leave. Then performers would leave after about 12 hours of performing, and then the theaters would shut down. But as vaudeville progressed, more people started showing up and leaving, and then more performers started showing up and leaving, and then the theaters were doubling in size and tripling in amount. So as vaudeville grew, there weren't the small crowds, the small theaters, the mediocre performers. There were the huge theaters that could fit thousands. The audience, the numbers were in the thousands. The performers that were getting more skilled, more flamboyant, their talent was being amazing. And when you combine the public, the theaters, and the amazing performers, you get an entirely new industry called vaudeville.
That was sweet, man.
Now I'm going to play a little instrumental song that I actually wrote and tell you guys why vaudeville is a turning point. So, it's best and slippery. To recap, vaudeville means light comedy in French. It was happening during the 1880s to the 1930s in America. Vaudeville changed history because it showed performances that the world had never seen before. Vaudeville gave skilled performers an outlet that they had never had before. It changed the way comedy and magic and many other performances are done, like being the first place to have stand-up comedy. Vaudeville gave art and culture to American society. And when you give culture to a society, it elevates. It becomes better. It makes cities a better place to live. This is why vaudeville is a turning point. My name is Joe Robinson, and thank you.
Great job.
Thanks. Very nice job. Yeah. Well, my first question is obviously, how the heck did you do that?